Hi friends, this is Charity from Group Publishing. Now I don't know about you, but I'm really starting to miss being around people that I haven't seen in a while. It's hard to be away from people we care about. Today, we're going to hear about a man who had a sickness called leprosy. And like COVID-19, people were afraid of catching it. So he had to stay away from his family and friends. But Jesus helped him. And Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely too. So, before we get started, let's grab all the supplies you'll need. So you will need your thankful journal, of course, check. You'll need markers or crayons, check. You will need a ruler or yardstick or tape measure, okay? Check. And you'll need a clear container. Now it can kind of be like this one, or if you have like a plastic container of left-outs or something like leftovers, that would work too. And you're gonna fill it up about 1/3 full of water. And then you're gonna need some vegetable oil. So if you're missing any of these items, don't worry, because you can watch and be wowed with me. So I will wait while you pause the video and gather your supplies. Go. Now, let's take just a minute to talk about this week's God sightings. How have you seen God at work this week? For me, I saw God at work through people. Now, I was scrolling through social media when, wow, I saw pictures of people making chalk drawings on sidewalks just to cheer people up, or people collecting and distributing food to share with others. And I saw awesome videos of people clapping for our healthcare workers. God is at work through people like you and me. What about you? Pause me while you share God sightings with your families. Even with all those great things God is doing right now, there are still a lot of hard things too. I wonder, what's been the hardest thing for you about this whole coronavirus situation? Now, friends, since I ask you to be honest about your answers, I'll be honest about mine. For me, I live by myself, and it gets kind of lonely without anyone else around. At first, it was kind of nice because I don't mind being by myself sometimes. But now, oh, I would really like to invite friends over for dinner, and I can't. I wouldn't even mind cleaning up all the dirty dishes. Well, thanks for listening to my answer. Now, pause me as you share with your family about what's been hard for you. Talk about that now. One of the hardest things for many people is not being able to see friends and other family members like cousins or aunts or uncles. For me, I especially miss my friend Meg. We often hike together or have dinner together, and I miss that. What about you? Now, don't pause me for this one, okay? Just go ahead and call out, who do you most miss right now? Say that person's name out loud and I'll do it with you too. Can you think of your person? I'm sure they come to mind pretty quickly. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Meg! Oh, friends, being separated from all of these people that we care about can make it feel lonely. But Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely. So let's hear how Jesus' power helped a man in the Bible who was probably very lonely. See, back in Bible times, there was a sickness called leprosy. If you got it, you'd get painful sores all over your body. There wasn't a cure, and often people who caught it would die or lose fingers and toes. People were afraid of catching it, much like people are afraid of the coronavirus right now. So, what are some things that we're supposed to do right now to avoid catching COVID-19? Go ahead and pause the video and with your family, list as many as you can. Just talk about some of the things that we're doing so that we don't catch COVID-19. Pause me and talk about that. One thing that we're supposed to do is wash our hands really well. So let's pretend to wash our hands while we sing the ABCs. Now, I gotta say, I have gotten really good at this. And my hands are kind of dry to prove it. But that's a good thing. Are you ready? Let's pretend to wash our hands. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? Okay, rinse them off. Dry them off. Well done, friends. Now, we're also supposed to stay away from other people, and that is called social distancing. We're being told that to stay safe from catching COVID-19, we're supposed to be 6 feet away from anyone else when we're outside of our homes. So, let's try that inside your home right now. So use your ruler or tape measure or yardstick to make sure that everyone in the room right now is either standing or sitting at least 6 feet apart. Now, if you don't have a way to measure, that is just fine. Maybe you could just guess 6 feet, or maybe there's somebody in your family who kind of has big feet and you could just step out 6 feet. Pause me while you do that. 6 feet apart, everyone. Hello! Now, people in Bible times knew all about social distancing. In fact, they were so afraid of catching leprosy, it was against the law for someone with leprosy to even come into the city. And if someone with leprosy was around other people, he or she had to call out, "Unclean! Unclean!" So everyone around would know to stay away. No one wanted to accidentally touch someone with leprosy. Now, all those rules must have made people who had leprosy feel pretty lonely. So let's try something. Now, without losing your feet of separation, reach out and try to hug the other people in your family. Now remember, don't lean in and get any closer than 6 feet. Okay, I'm reaching out too, and I'll try to hug you. Unless you have really long arms, you aren't even able to touch anyone. No hugs, no pat on the back, just you in your own little bubble. Now friends, stay where you are. Here's a question for you to talk about. How do you think it would feel to have to be this far apart from everyone, not for a few weeks or months, but for years. Pause me while you talk about that, and I'll just be here giving you a hug. It could be pretty lonely to not be able to be close enough to hug anyone for a very long time. But let's see what Jesus did when he met someone who had leprosy. Now, if you want to follow along in your Bible, look up Matthew 8, verses 1 to 3. That's Matthew 8, verses 1 to 3. So while Jesus walked along, a man with leprosy came up to him out of the crowd. The man knew that Jesus had the power to heal his leprosy. So he said to Jesus, "Lord, if you are willing, you can heal me and make me clean." Jesus, he reached out his hand and touched the man and answered, "I am willing, be healed." And the man was healed instantly. Now, wait, did you hear what Jesus did? Let me say it again. Jesus, he touched the man. Now, this man probably hadn't had a hug or a high five for a long time. Then Jesus touched him. Jesus wasn't afraid of getting leprosy. Jesus knew that his power was greater than any disease, leprosy or COVID-19. Jesus knew that not only did this man's body need healing, his heart, it needed healing too. This man needed to feel Jesus' love right there on his arm or his shoulder or his head. And he also needed a loving touch to heal his heart's loneliness. Now, friends, we need to be wise right now and protect ourselves from sickness. But being separated from people can make us all feel lonely, and it's good to talk about that. So let's do that now. Pause me and talk about these questions. Who do you know that might be feeling lonely right now? And how could your family reach out to them? Go ahead and come back together. You don't have to stay 6 feet apart to talk. But who might be feeling lonely right now? And how could you reach out to them? Go ahead and pause the video and talk about that. Great ideas. We can reach out to help people when they're lonely. And it's nice to have some technology these days that can help us. But even when no one else is around, Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely. He is always right there with us to comfort us and to strengthen our hearts. Now, one way Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely is to remind us that Jesus is our friend. No matter what's going on right now, you always have a friend who's right there next to you, not 6 feet away. That's Jesus. Let's sing a song about that right now. Everybody, let's stand up and sing about our friend Jesus. friend who loves me, and Jesus is his name. What a great reminder of our friend Jesus who is always with us. You know, the people in Jesus' time didn't want people with leprosy mixing in with anyone else. So I have a fun, mix it up kind of science experiment that we can try to help us think more about that. So it's time to use your oil and your clear container of water. You got it? Now, it's okay if everybody doesn't have their own. We can share it together as a family. All right, I think we are ready for some science-y fun. So you are going to pour a little oil into the container of water so that there's about the same amount of oil as there is water. Maybe a little more. Ooh, that's kind of pretty. All right, now we're gonna close the lid if you have one. Now, if your container doesn't have a lid, maybe pause me and go grab a spoon or something that you can stir it up with. That's okay, I'll wait for you. So once your lid is tight, we're gonna shake it up for at least 10 seconds. So give it to somebody in your family, give it a little shake or a stir. All right, then pass it to another person. They'll give it a shake. Keep passing it. Make sure everybody in your family has a chance to shake it up. Go ahead and pause me if you have a big family and need some time. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now stop and take a look at our mixture. Now we have mixed it up really well, but let's see what happens as it settles down. Sometimes it takes a little time, so while we're waiting to see what happens, you're gonna pause the video and talk about this with your family. Here's the question. Are you ready? What do you miss most because you're separated from others right now? What do you miss most because you're separated from others right now? For example, I really miss hugs. Go ahead and pause me, we're waiting for our mixture, and talk about that question. So, as this mixture settles down, it doesn't look like the oil and the water are really all mixed together. It seems like the oil and the water, they want to stay separate. I think that maybe they're practicing social distancing. Now, oil and water, they naturally want to stay separate. But it isn't so natural for us to be separated, is it? Being separated from others can make us feel lonely. But we can turn to Jesus for help because Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely. Now, even though we're separated from a lot of our friends, we still have family here with us. And we can still connect with people online and even do online Sunday school together, like we're doing right now. So if it's healthy for you, go ahead and gather with your family for a nice group hug. And if it's not safe to hug someone right now, try giving another long distance hug, like this one. Oh, as you are hugging, thank Jesus for each person in your family by name. Just go around the group hug and say, thank you, Jesus, for Charity, and everybody else in your family. Ready? Pause me while you do that. Thanks, Jesus. Focusing on the people Jesus has put in our lives, even in hard times, can help us feel less alone. That's one way Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely. So, when this video ends, you are going to draw a picture in your thankfulness journal of someone that you are thankful that you can connect with during this time. Now, maybe the person you draw is somebody who lives in your house with you, or maybe it's someone that you can call or send a message to. Draw that person in your journal and make sure you put today's date on it so that you can look back and see all the ways that Jesus' power is pulling you through. And this week, as you see more God sightings, make sure that you're writing those in your journals too. Sound good? All right, friends, see you next week.